Level complete. Same time tomorrow for more terror. Choose or Die is a Netflix original from writer-director Toby Meekins in his feature film debut. This was also written by Simon Allen, who wrote TV's The Watch, as well as Matthew James Wilkinson. It's a name that sounds way too snooty for a production like this. Speaking of productions, he's helped produce movies like Amulet and Shudder's The Power. The Power was really goddamn terrific. One of my favorite movies of last year. Great narrative, great storytelling, just great all-around film. But I'm here to talk about Choose or Die. It's about an obscure choose-your-own-adventure video game called Cursor. And basically just take the O out, and that's what it is. But it's actually Cursor. It's a curse. It's a blight upon this land. So yeah, it's like choose-your-own-adventure, but you can't keep your finger on the page and go back. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Clarence, I want to live again. No, you just have to type the stuff in and everything, and this is how archaic this video game was. It was on a cassette tape, and they had the code and everything written in, and then you type up on this computer, and you figure out what you want to do, and if you beat the game, you win a $125,000 cash prize. But obviously, it wouldn't be that easy, because since this game was lost to time, something else is going on with it, like the fact that the curse from this game blends into reality, and whoop, there goes gravity, and man, everybody's so mad at me because I'm butchering this Eminem song. Actually, I think everybody might be mad at me if I decide to praise this movie, but alas, I'm not going to praise this movie. There's some talent behind this film, and I'm sure that the actors did the best they could, and the crew did the best they could. I don't know how far I should go into a review before I reveal my hand and basically, well, here's my hand right here, or show my hand, as in cards. This movie was not very good, and it reminded me in concept of Stay Alive, ha, 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 Stay Alive, the movie with Elijah Wood about the video game that at least had some explanation about why it exists, but this one just seemed to basically just have characters meander, and then they did stupid shit, and eventually it just ended. This movie's like 85 minutes and just felt like it drug on forever. It was not very good. Now, it wasn't a bad concept, and the idea of a video game that's cursed that basically could, do something good or bad, choose or die, good or bad. Yes, yes. Do you want to live? Do you want to die? What do you want to do? Will you sacrifice? Yes. Ow. Really shouldn't try to do those impressions. Unfortunately, none of the good stuff that could have come from this concept was put in this movie. It was laborious, repetitive, and I didn't really give a shit about any of the characters. Now, sure, you could argue that it might have had a decent payoff. That'll come up in the spoilers. But you weren't given a reason to really care about anybody in this movie, good, bad, or indifferent. There also weren't a whole lot of characters to really, focus on. Because there wasn't really a big cast. I mean, there were a few extras, and they tried to tell a good backstory. They tried to tell a backstory. They tried to figure out what a backstory is and then butchered that and gutted that thing like a goddamn fish. But Asa Butterfield, Eddie Marsan, Robert Englund as himself, literally phoning in his role. You do not see Robert Englund at all because he's a voiceover on a phone call for the hotline of this video game. If you win the $125,000 cash prize, if you beat the game, you can call him and collect the prize. You're all my children now. And also, Iola Evans was in this. I swear I've seen her in something, I just can't place it. So, yeah, just slam us right into the movie, why don't you? We have a loud family that's arguing, and loud noises. The dad loves to play video games. And he's on a computer that's like HAL 9000's loser cousin, HAL 0.9000. But granted, it's supposed to be an old, computer to run old software. And basically, the stuff that happens in this game bleeds into reality. So, it's like, hey, I can refill your drink. Top you off, governor. And sorry to any of my British friends that are watching this. I apologize, but some of the filming locations are apparently in London, so I guess I can get away with that. But anyway, the dad basically gets locked into the game and has to choose. Does he want to choose between his wife or his son? And then things just get really goddamn weird. And then we slam to Iola Evans' character, Kayla, and Isaac. Isaac, who really resembles Elijah Wood's character from Stay Alive, ha, 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 Stay Alive. And Kayla has a really bad life. Like, her and her mother are going to get evicted from their apartment. There's a creepy, drug lordy type guy that just hangs around named Lance. And he's just the creepiest and most cliched character possible. She's bouncing between jobs. Isaac is a programmer, video game programmer, has programmed her into his video game, and says, I programmed you into my game, so use your powers responsibly. I made you strong. This movie seemed like it had a lot of shit left on the cutting room floor, and as we go from not even strength to strength, we just go from plot device to plot device to, wow, we're just going to repeat this plot device. She lost her brother, and obviously that's not going to factor at all into this movie later. But since her mother is sick and she's trying to do what she can to help out her family, naturally things just get worse and worse and worse. She ends up uploading the video game, listening to the cassette tape that she finds in Isaac's apartment / storage closet, takes it, uploads it to her laptop that she's listening or that she's on at a cafe, one of the most depressing cafes I've seen this side of Seattle, and then creepy shit starts happening. She has to keep playing the game and choose or die, and if she wins, then I guess something good happens. So yeah, this movie isn't very good, like, at all. You don't give a shit about any of the characters, and even the attempts to get an emotional investment going, it only helps if you actually have characters to root for, or you have a reason to care. And you don't even want to root for the hero, because you have, like, maybe, like, this much backstory, and everything else is like, okay, there are people that are being bad to her, but she's just kind of a raging bitch also. In fact, nobody's really good in this movie. Everybody's just kind of ridiculous. Everybody's just one note or barely half a note. They're maybe rice paper thick notes. Like, you could honestly blow on them, and that's it. These characters just vanish from the goddamn thing. And what basically ends up happening is a bunch of video game stuff. Oh, maybe you can play the game. The game bleeds into reality. And we find out there may be a very creepy backstory to how this game was made. And maybe there's a way to beat the game while saving yourself. But I can't even save myself. And this movie can't even save itself. I can stab westward, eastward, northward, southward, upwards, downwards, twirling, whirling, twirling toward freedom. Yeah. It's about a video game that takes over your life. A choose-your-own-adventure video game. It kind of reminds me of Hugo's House of Horrors, except that game at least had a way for you to put a mask on and get a steak and feed it to a dog and beat a Frankenstein monster or whatever. It was a really weird game. That's how old I am. Anybody remember Hugo's House of Horrors? Let me know in the comments. So yeah, I'm going to get into spoilers here because there isn't going to be much to spoil, because why the fuck not just say something. But yeah, check it out if you want to on Netflix. It's really it makes Stay Alive seem like Citizen Kane. Let's get into spoilers now. Okay, so Kayla has this tragic backstory where she was watching her brother swim in a pool. He drowned, and obviously that plays in later. The mother is very upset and despondent. Lance is a creep. Offers to basically give her drugs and help pay for this stuff, but he wants to have Kayla hew herself out. There we go. I'm going to try and do that. And yeah, we get more bullshit. The music that's not orchestral is absolute shit. The rap, whatever, it's not good. The dubstep, whatever you want to call it, non-orchestral stuff's fine. But one point, Kayla completes the first level, and this waitress ends up breaking glasses and eating the glass and dying, and she has to choose or die. Well, the waitress dies anyway. And then she is working at it. She talks to her mom. She ends up working at this, or Kayla's working at this place cleaning up a building. And she has to save her mom from these rats that are trying to attack her. These giant rats that are in the wall, apparently. That we never see except on the video game. And it kind of reminds me of like if Atari was designed by a complete fucking idiot. I.e. the people that decided to make the E.T. game. And not even make the E.T. game. Make more cartridges than there were Atari systems. What the fuck, Atari? Glad you fucking went bankrupt. Anyway... not Elijah, Isaac, sorry, Isaac Elijah, as it were, says, I don't see how a video game can kill people, but then he eventually believes her, because plot device. And she saves her mother from these rats, but meat, chew, there's no meat there, no. And Robert Englund is doing the voiceover. They pick a red or blue door. They get in a pool that's got all this frickin' fog in it. And then Ricky, as a ghost, the little brother who drowned, attacks Isaac. But then she's got to choose save Isaac or save Ricky. She saves Isaac and then chokes out Ricky, even though he's dead. Because he's got to, basically, she's got to suffer. Then we do a choose your own phone adventure thing. They try to hack the system because Isaac is smart and wants to cheat the system. And then they go on a GTA Atari edition where we see just cars going back, a car going back and forth. They race to this place that was the old building of the designer of the video game, who shows up a little bit later. But we see Tape, and it turns out that he found a way to basically live on and prosper, but other people had to suffer. You pass the curse on to somebody else. We see a guy eating his own arm while this guy carves his arm, but the blood goes back in. He's safe. The fuck? So the programmer takes over. You're in 1984, where everybody got on the floor and did the goddamn dinosaur. Rewind or fast forward. Isaac dies because he barfs up a bunch of tape track. No, really. That's how he fucking dies. And then, now you gotta beat the boss. Hey, remember that family from the first movie? The first movie. It felt like this thing was 2 movies. So, the family from the beginning. That guy's the final boss. If you hit him, it hurts Kayla. And if you hit Kayla, it hurts him. And the son had his tongue cut out and his eye cut out. And the wife had his cheek cut, or her cheek cut. So, the son's trying to save the dad. The dad's trying to kill himself to kill Kayla. And then she ends up drowning herself in a pool just before she dies. So, he drowns. I'm not kidding. This is actual shit that happened in the movie. And she's safe. Everybody prospers. She basically redesigns the game in her own image and sends it out to that guy, Lance, offering, hey, you pay me $20 an hour, you can have your way with me, but I want to be in control. Sure, you can be in control. And suddenly there's a bunch of needles in a sink, and the guy falls into him and gets injected with a bunch of stuff and dies. This is all stuff they decided to just have happen all of a sudden. Everyone's fine. The game designer calls, like, you suffered, I prospered, yet you beat my game. Who will suffer next? Only people who deserve it. Only the people who thought this movie was a good idea. Maybe there's a good movie somewhere in the director's cut, or there was a good movie in the concept here, but this movie was ass. Ass-fucking-tacular. That being said, I hope the director can find better things to do. Make a better project. Because it really can't get any fucking worse than this. It gets an F. One of the worst movies of the year. I just reviewed Titanic 666, by the way. I didn't expect much from that, and I didn't expect much from this. I got less out of this than I got from Titanic 666. And I didn't get jack shit from that. So anyway, agree, disagree what I said, like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.